E3 is over, and with that, also a huge blast of gaming news we got in terms of game reveals and other interesting news. But because it was such a jam-packed week of gaming news, it will give everyone that just lost themselves in the ocean of news a quick recap with helpful informations on screen, like E3 trailers and gameplay demos of each shown game. Additionally, you can find further information to the games announced in the video description. With that out of the way, let's try to sum up all the announcements in 17 minutes. Ready? Go! EA hosted the first press conference of the E3 week, beginning with Titanfall 2. The game will have a campaign single-player mode, and it will come out on PS4, Xbox One and PC on October 28th. Madden NFL 17 was shown, and EA will host multiple esports events with huge prize pools and a Madden 17 Championship Series. Madden NFL 17 will be released on August 23rd. We finally saw a trailer of the new Mass Effect Andromeda game that is running on the Frostbite engine like most EA games do nowadays. The game is supposed to come out early next year. FIFA 17 includes a journey story mode this time, where you experience a career of an upcoming football star. FIFA 17 will be released on September 29th. EA announced a new program called EA Originals, which will fund and help smaller developers to bring out their games. The first game under this program will be the adventure game FE by the Swedish developer Zoink. Afterwards, EA showed their plans on the next Star Wars games. There are multiple Star Wars titles from different EA developers in the works. More information on what the developer studios are working are in the developer diary video. And at last, EA showed extensive gameplay of the new Battlefield 1 game, with multiple live-streamed 64-man multiplayer matches. The World War I shooter releases on October 21st on PC, PS4 and Xbox One. The game will be available earlier for Origin and EA Access members on October 13th. Next up is the Bethesda conference that was kicked off by a big surprise. QUAKE is back after a long time with an all-new multiplayer class-based shooter called QUAKE Champions, of which we will hear more at QuakeCon in August. A complete remaster of Skyrim with improved graphics and mods for consoles is coming out for PS4, Xbox One and PC on October 28th. PC owners of Skyrim and all the including DLCs will get the game for free. The Elder Scrolls card game called Elder Scrolls Legends, with a single-player story mode, will come out for PC, mobile, iPad and iPhones later this year. A bunch of new Fallout content and DLCs were announced, like building your own vaults and much more tools to toy around with. And a port from the mobile game Fallout Shelter was announced for PC, that includes the new update with the new locations and more, releasing in July. A completely new IP from Bethesda called Prey was announced that plays in a futuristic setting on a space station hunted from an alien. Sounds similar, right? Prey comes out next year for PS4, Xbox One and PC. More content for the just released Doom was announced, like new multiplayer modes, maps, new visual themes and new tools for SnapMap. Also a new extension for the Elder Scrolls Online MMO was announced called One Tamriel, coming out this fall. Bethesda also confirmed that they are developing Doom and Fallout 4 for the HTC Vive headset platform. And the last major part of the Bethesda conference was tons of gameplay footage and infos of the new Dishonored 2 game, releasing November 11th with a collector's edition for PC, PS4 and Xbox One. The next day began with Microsoft's press conference showing off a lot of new and interesting things. Beginning with the reveal of the new Xbox One S that is 40% smaller than the original Xbox One, has an internal power supply up to 2 TB, 4K video and Blu-ray capability, and the new Xbox wireless controller included. That has a new grip surface and Bluetooth connection usable for PC and other devices. The new Xbox One S is starting at $299 US. Next up in Microsoft's press conference, we saw a gameplay presentation of the new Gears of War 4, which is gonna be released on October 11th for Xbox One and Windows 10 PCs. And from this moment going forward in the conference, and in general, Microsoft introduced the Play Anywhere symbol. That means that games including this symbol are available to play on Windows 10 devices and Xbox One consoles. And almost every game mentioned in the conference can be played anywhere. And this is the driving theme of this conference, giving the players more choice. The classic fighting game Killer Instinct gets a new additional character with General Ram from the Gears of War franchise. A new Forza game is on the horizon with Forza Horizon 3, that plays in Australia and will have a 4-player online co-op across all devices. Forza Horizon 3 will be released on Xbox One and Windows 10 PCs on September 23rd. A new interesting Recore gameplay trailer was shown, which will be released on September 13th for Windows 10 PCs and Xbox One. Some useful features were added to Xbox Live with background music during gameplay, language settings, club features, and a completely new Xbox Live Arena feature, where you can compete against other people in different games. Crossplay features for Minecraft mobile and Windows 10 devices was announced, and texture packs will be added for mobile devices too. Different indie games were shown afterwards, like Inside, the game by the Limbo creators that will be released on June 29th. More Xbox Game Preview games, which is essentially the Xbox version of Early Access, were announced, like The Culling, DayZ, Slime Rancher, and others. Afterwards, we saw an interesting gameplay presentation of the indie game We Happy Few, which will be released first on the Xbox One Game Preview in the next months. The popular Witcher developer CD Projekt Red announced a card game playing in the Witcher universe called Gwent, the Witcher card game. The game will have crossplay between Xbox One and PC, and it will include a single-player mode. The game's closed beta will begin in September. Tekken 7 will be coming to Xbox One and surprisingly also to PCs earlier next year with an all-new single-player story mode. A new installment in the popular zombie-slaying franchise Dead Rising was announced at E3, that will come out for Windows 10 and Xbox One on December 6th. The Dragon action-adventure Scalebound, that is developed by Platinum Games and Hideki Kamiya, has a 4-player cross-device co-op, and will be released next year for the Xbox One and Windows 10. We saw more gameplay for the pirate game from Rare called Sea of Thieves, that will be released next year for both Xbox One and Windows 10. Afterwards, the console real-time strategy game Halo Wars 2 was shown, that will come out February 21st of 2017 for both Xbox One and Windows 10 PCs, with the first Halo Wars game in a remastered form included in the Halo Wars Ultimate Edition. The multiplayer zombie survival game gets a sequel next year with State of Decay 2. And finally, at the end of Microsoft's conference, Xbox leader Phil Spencer was coming out with a heavy hitter and already announcing the next big console leap in terms of performance. The so-called Project Scorpio is supposed to have 6 teraflops of power, which means floating points operations per second. This console is supposed to bring native 4K 60fps gaming to consoles and make it viable for everyone. It was presented as the most powerful console ever. And in the context of playing your games anywhere, the console will not have a traditional console generation leap or border where your accessories and games won't work anymore. Indeed, the games running on the new Project Scorpio console will also run on your older Xbox One or Xbox One S, and also PCs. And all the saves and Xbox Live data will be transferred too. So the older consoles will probably have a lower performance for newer games than the new Project Scorpio, like it was always with lower performance PCs not running games in the best way possible. This new console is supposed to launch in the holiday season of 2017. This is a really interesting announcement and idea on how console generations will work in the future. The PC Gaming Show was hosted again this year, but it was mostly a chill talk with developers of already announced PC games with some reveals here and there. For example, the new IP Oxygen Not Included was revealed, which is a colony simulation game that will be released later this year. Then 2 new VR games were announced from already existing franchises. Serious Sam VR and Killing Floor VR, which are both first-person shooters that fit perfectly for a motion-centric VR headset. The last new game reveal was the horror game Observer, which is from the creators of the successful Layers of Fear. There was much more interesting stuff going on at the PC Gaming Show, so check out the PC Gaming Show videos over on the PC Gamer channel. The link is on screen and in the video description. Next up was Ubisoft, and like they do most of the times, Ubisoft opened with a dance session presenting Just Dance 2017 that will come out for all existing consoles and even confirmed for the Nintendo NX. So this is the first official third-party game for the NX. Hooray! Afterwards, Ubisoft extensively showed gameplay of the open-world Ghost Recon Wildlands game that will come out next year on March 17th for Xbox One, PC and PS4. The sequel of the much beloved RPG from the popular TV show South Park is releasing this year on December 7th. A lot of gameplay was shown for South Park, The Fractured Butthole, that will be released for PC, PS4 and Xbox One. Surprisingly, Ubisoft was talking about some VR games. They began with the Oculus multiplayer game Eagle Flight, which was demoed by the founder of Oculus, Palmer Luckey. The interesting multiplayer VR game will come out this fall for all major VR platforms. The second VR game shown is a Star Trek simulation game called Star Trek Bridge Crew, where you play a crew member of the USS Aegis and explore unknown parts of the universe. The game will also come out in fall for all major VR platforms. Another game that was already announced last year is the medieval brawler and action game For Honor, which was lengthy shown and will come out for PC, PS4 and Xbox One next year on Valentine's Day, February 14. A cool surprise was the game called Trials of the Blood Dragon, which is a mix of the Trials bike game series and the game Far Cry Blood Dragon, a crazy futuristic bike game that is already out now for PC, PS4 and Xbox One. The underrated experimental game from the smaller team at Ubisoft Reflections that made Grow Home will release a sequel in August called Grow Up that will come out for PC, PS4 and Xbox One. The second iteration in the open world hacking game Watch Dogs that was already revealed a week before also got an extensive gameplay demo during the conference. The game will have exclusive content for the PlayStation 4 and will launch November 15th for PC, PS4 and Xbox One. The last surprise announcement that happens at the end of every Ubisoft presentation was this time the open world winter sports game playing in the European Alps and has a lot of different sports activities to offer, like racing with your friends and exploring the beautiful mountains. The winter sports game Steep is coming to PC, PS4 and Xbox One fittingly this December. The last conference of the day was Sony. They started off with a blast, because they showed a gameplay demo of the next God of War game, which will be not out until next year. After an atmospheric introduction with a live orchestra, we saw another gameplay presentation, to be specific, a new IP from the developer Bend Studios, which is a zombie action game for the most part, that is called Days Gone. Since the last year's E3 surprise re-reveal of The Last Guardian, we finally saw another trailer confirming the release date, after almost 7 years since its first reveal. The Last Guardian will be released on October 25th, exclusively for PlayStation 4. Another gameplay presentation was seen, about the wild robotic hunting action adventure Horizon Zero Dawn, which will launch on February 23rd, 2017. The developer of the story-driven games Heavy Rain and Beyond Two Souls, David Cage from Quantic Dream, showed off a new trailer for the story game Detroit Become Human, which is going to be released sometime in the future. A new iteration in the horror game franchise that turned more into an action zombie shooter in the last games comes back with Resident Evil 7 that will be released on January 24th for PC, PS4 and Xbox One. There will be also a VR version of Resident Evil 7 exclusively for PlayStation VR. Because Sony was talking a lot about different PlayStation VR games, they announced a new IP Farpoint for PlayStation VR, which is a futuristic shooter. And then there's a new Batman game made for PlayStation VR called Batman Arkham VR. It will be released in October 2016 with the PlayStation VR. A special PlayStation VR experience for Final Fantasy XV will be also released for the PlayStation VR in October. And after we talked already so much about PlayStation VR, Sony officially confirmed the release date of the PlayStation VR with October 13th for $399, and it will launch with 50 PlayStation VR games. Like every year, there's no conference without a gameplay trailer of the new Call of Duty that was shown this time at Sony's conference with Call of Duty Infinite Warfare. And as a huge surprise, the 3 Crash Bandicoot games will come back fully remastered in HD for the PlayStation 4, with Crash being included in the new Skylanders Imaginators game. The new LEGO Star Wars game that will launch at the end of June got a free demo to try out for PS4. With a huge bang, Hideo Kojima was introduced to the show and he revealed the new project he is working on, with Norman Reedus as the protagonist. Death Stranding was revealed in a short teaser trailer under big applause. And the last announcement of the Sony show was the reveal of a new Spider-Man game being developed by Insomniac Games for PS4. So for the most part we got a lot of announcements of games coming out in the far future. Not a lot of games coming out this year as Sony is focusing to launch the PlayStation VR. We also got no information on the new PlayStation Neo console, because Microsoft already announced their new and improved hardware. The last major reveal was at the Nintendo Treehouse livestream the next day, with the unveiling of first gameplay and a name for the upcoming Zelda game for Wii U and NX. The game is called The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild and is a really interesting open-world Zelda game with a lot of RPG elements and other interesting elements. Tons of gameplay was shown during the Treehouse livestream, so when you are curious to check everything out, the links are on screen and in the video description. The game will come out for the Nintendo Wii U and the next generation platform NX in 2017. That was it for all the announcements. Barely under the time, but we did it, guys. When you guys liked this recap video, be sure to like the video and subscribe to stay up to date for more unique and interesting gaming videos in the future. Follow me on Twitter for more gaming information, personal things and other stuff. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you all have a great day.